Good morning and welcome to the Ridiculously Early J Morning Show. I had a real quick announcement today having to do with comments on the YouTube channel. YouTube sent me a notification that I got a nice little comment. As you can see, there is no comment here, even though it says there's one comment. So I thought, okay, the person sent me a comment, they deleted it, no problem. Then yesterday, somebody else sent me a comment and I replied to it. And there you see there are two comments here, there are no comments. So YouTube is eating comments. I don't know why. So if you sent me a comment and you didn't get a response, that's why. They have acknowledged this and they are working on the problem, but their last update about this was a couple months ago, and it doesn't seem to be getting better. So the YouTube comments section is not necessarily the place to have a discussion about a long-form discussion. So partially for that, and partially just because I wanted the place to push these stream notifications without spamming people who didn't want to see them. So I have created our tangentstorm over on Reddit. And so that will be the official forum or discussion place for this channel and things related to it, including JPrez, JKVM, JLEX, and so on. So that's there. And while you're there, you might also want to check out our APLJK. So that is the subreddit for APLJ, K and Q, KDB, all things array languages. And this is a really great place to kind of get to know the community. It's worth checking out. I've been on here for many years, and I definitely appreciate it. So that's enough about that. Today we are continuing work, as always, on this. This is my terminal library. So we have a set of terminal libraries, and then on top of that we have JPrez, which is a presentation tool that I'm making to help write programming videos. And yesterday we were working on getting this interactive REPL to appear within this upper right-hand quadrant, and it seemed to not work so well. So what's happening here is, as you page through, it is showing the history of the REPL, and then this line is supposed to be at the bottom here, and I believe I moved it up here because it was not displaying correctly. And so that's where we left off. I have not had a chance since yesterday morning to investigate this, so I'm going to do that now. So one thing I've noticed is that we have this function called term draw, which seems to be it seems to me that when I call this, every time I've tried to call it, this is a function, a method on a widget, and it's creating a new buffer, pushing it to the terminal stack, and then it should be rendering itself onto that buffer, and then popping the buffer off the stack, and then splitting that buffer to whatever is on the stack now. And that seems to almost work sometimes, and then sometimes not work. And I think the difference is that when it's splitting to the screen, it's working, but for some reason when it's splitting to the terminal, it's not quite working. I mean, when it's splitting to another buffer, it's not quite working. So the application itself has a buffer that it's meant to write to, and it's just not doing the right thing, and I'm not exactly sure why. So if I remove this line, this is the line that's drawing that thing at the top, right? So if I do this, I hit reload, and yes, now it does not appear at all. And I'm wondering if maybe it has something to do with positioning. So term draw, I've set it to not appear at this particular location. And I'm wondering, one thing might be that it's one line too low. So maybe if I move it just down, move it up 2 lines, it might improve. Yeah, so 1 line works. So it could be that this thing is, the buffer is just one line too small. In fact, that makes me think that's exactly what it is. I bet I had the buffer this high, exactly this high. So this works fine. And if I edit, can I edit on here? Okay, we got 2 bugs now. So we have, it's not showing correctly, but hold on. So I think my only problem here is that I've made this this thing 1 line too short, and that's a very easy fix. So in mje.ijs, we have a thing called a REPL. So REPL equals, if I search for that, we should find where the widget itself is defined. And the height of the REPL is hist. I'm going to have to go in and clean up all of this stuff, but let's see. The editor, no, okay, so the editor is the thing on the left. So let's see where hist is being used. Again, this was all based on the idea. Not sure what my meta is. Indent headings. HHIST plus 2. Yeah, so I'm not, I think that probably probably if I do this, it's going to show up, but it's going to screw up everything else that's based on that number. Let's see. Okay, hang on. We want this to be the length of the history. Oh, actually, we do want it to be at this. Okay, so this is right, because if if the height is 24 and the length is 23, then the index, the line number should be exactly equal to the length. So I don't want an extra one here. I want 0. This should be 0, and I believe it is correct. But hist lines base. So however many lines we should, basically however many lines show up from the history, we want to show that many lines, which we're doing right here. And so really, let's do this. Lines or hist is equal to hist lines. There's no reason to call that function twice. We'll store it in a temp. Hist. And then same thing here for line in hist. I think this code is correct, and then we're basically down to these two things that are specific to MJE, and so we're going to be able to move this out of there. So in fact, we can say this. Hist is going to be the, let's see, we have, I think it's just an empty list here, so a list of boxes. So if MJE, then we're going to do this, and then here, this is going to be outside of the feature flag. Draw that on the last line. Yep, with three space prompt. So this is actually rewriting the. This is actually rewriting the command in the buffer based on this this line right here, based on whichever line I'm looking at. So if I happen to be pointing at a line that has the colon there, then I need to update this text with the next prompt, because I'm replaying something in the screenplay. Okay, so then draw the history, and then on the very last line we draw ed. So we can even put this here. So it's kind of draw the last line. Oh, here we go. And then this is a redraw every frame. Only for now, temporary, until we get better way to update or to send information from MJE. Okay, for the containing app. MJE is just the code name for JPrez, like the JPrez, the presentation tool. Okay, so I just want to make sure I have not broken anything over here. So this is the standalone version of the REPL. It seems to work. Okay, that works fine. And then I will run it again here. And we have broken something. We have broken the display of the thing. So that is because I didn't do this -1. Right, so these are coordinates. We got 3, 0 plus 0, the length of the history. Since we start the lines numbering at 0, the height should be the y coordinate should be the length of the history. So if there are 5 history lines, then we want to start on line with the index 5 because the lines of the history are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what do I need to do here? We need to, I know that changing this to -1 fixes it. Maybe changing the length of the history fixes it. I think the widget just needs to be one thing greater. So I changed, this was 24. I need to change the list of the height of this REPL widget to 1, height of history plus 1, which makes sense because the history is however many lines, 24 lines of history plus 1 line for the input line. So I think that's going to fix it. And then we have the second bug where, okay, I have 2 editors. That seems to be working. But I think when I moved over here, oh, okay. It's like something is wrong here. The Control K that I added doesn't seem to be working. I just added this. It was working great. Is it working over here? Yes. But not here. Could it be that Control K is overwritten to do something else? No. Oh, I see. Yeah, Control A is also not working, and this is because I have this. This is unfortunate. So beginning of line red, and then Control C K should be kill to end of line. So the problem is that the way that the keyboard binding is working right now is really unfortunate. I don't have a good way to describe what the focus is yet, or I have the idea of an app knows what a focus is and knows which widget has the focus, but it does not yet know how to dispatch sends the key presses to that. So I have a separate namespace for each mode that this thing can be in, whether you're editing one line or another line, and it's really redundant. I'm going to have to do this exact same thing for this is the line editor inside the outline, and then if I so E, that's working, but K is not working. I think A was not working yet, so A is the one I want, which tells me that I probably have a bug down here. Probably did not type that right. Oh no, I just swapped them. Okay. Yeah, so that's really unfortunate. I really want this to be able to dispatch to the right place, and I have that on my to-do list. So it's just a kludge at the moment. So now with all the keyboard bindings working, red. Oh, this should be lead. The line editor. Very kludgy, a lot of duplicate work, not important, not what I want to see in my code at all. All right, but now, well, that's weird. I had a display glitch over here on the right-hand side. But now, we don't want this to appear if all right, I'm gonna semi-fix this. So if I go to REPL.ijs, again we are pulling stuff in from the host application, which is absolutely wrong. And then otherwise, so here we're saying if we are looking at a line that has one of these colons in front of it, then we should put that. We should put the code on this line, which is working. But then when I move here, it's entered the line, and so now we've got a duplicate copy of it. So we need an else in this statement. We had one before, but I took it out because it was referring to the token editor. So b of ed is equal to the empty string. And so now when I rerun it again, that should go away. Yes, that's what I want. And then we also need to reset the cursor. And so that, instead of that, we can say set val of b to this, to the empty string. And here we would say set val of this, of ed, to, so here the value is the value of the command on the right-hand side. So the value of this line, and I want to cut off the first two characters, so that's what that's doing. That's what this symbol here does, to drop of val. And so we set val to that. And we don't need an equal sign, we need it's a verb invocation. Excuse me. All right, let's try it again. All right, so there we go. And that seems to work, but I did not put the cursor to the end of the screen. And I think that is actually missing in edit.ijs. So in set val, cursor equals 0. No, cursor is equal to the length of b. So we pass in the string we want, that's the buffer, and now the cursor is equal to its length. Putting it right at the end of the code. So let's try it again. Yes, that's exactly what I want. So then if then I hit forward, that's exactly what it should look like. That's good. And now if I hit Shift E to edit, yes, I'm expecting this. So I should be now in the mode where I'm editing this line right here, but it's not, because I have told it that on every single frame I want to update the I want to pull in the value. I'm doing this. I'm resetting the value. So I think what we want here now is we're going to make this a method. So hist lines is a method on the REPL object, and so by default we're just going to return 0 string a. And so here then we can now say hist lines. So we're going to run that. And now we're going to be able to override that when we're in here. We're going to be able to override that from the outside. So just let's see here. There should be a no op. Oh, sorry. There should be a no op. It should have been a refactoring. Yes. Okay. And then now I'm going to take this part. So all of that can be in MJE. And so when I define REPL is equal to this, I can now go in and say hist lines of REPL, and now I can put all the MJE specific stuff here, all the presentation specific stuff here, and I don't need MJE. Okay, so this is just flat out unconditional. And it will run in the REPL's namespace, so this should be a no-op as well. So I should still have everything working. Nope. And that is because we need to return this. So the result of this is hist lines base. And that should be assigned to hist in, we're overriding this method on this one particular instance of the object. There we go. All right, everything is now working except for the fact that the REPL is being overwritten on every single frame. Okay. And so I think now what we need to do is we need to move. All right, so I want to get rid of this line right here that is causing it to redraw on every single frame. But in order to do that, I need it to do this line right here, this setting, only when we change the line of commands. And so I need something that executes on every. Well, I can either do it on every tick, or I can do it when I press N. So K of N and P, forward commands. And then when I move, so there's several places where it needs to change. When I move forward like a section. So when I move this one with 0 and 9, it needs to change. And when I move this one, it needs to change. So basically, anytime commands change. And so I think it would be nice if go to forward list. So I could put it in go to, and then I could put it in forward and backwards commands, right? Let's see. So let's make MB set. Let's call it set REPL. Set input, maybe set REPL line. So these little Control L characters let me page through here as individual pages of text. So there we go. So we want a page that shows like all the extra stuff we're doing to the widgets. So here's the page of widgets. Here's the page of modifications to those widgets. So this is kind of one of those such things. All right. So first of all, hislines REPL is really this. So these two things are kind of ought to be merged. So this can just go here, and we can get rid of this and get rid of this. We can move this comment up here. Because it was calling that function, so I just inlined this function that was down here. So it was called hislines in the base directory. So now we're just hard coding it here. That should still work. Right. So the idea is that I want to pull this in here. But first I was fixing this bug. So this is a to do. Just leave that there for a second. Doesn't do anything yet. Not called yet. List to list base. I believe that should fix what we just saw. Index is also index of base. All right, so list index of base and list of base. I don't know if that's going to work or not. I don't know if you can do the double underscore followed by the. We'll see. There seem to be some. Come on, RL. Can't see my code. Okay, everything's screwed up now. Reset. Reset. Okay, reset the terminal. J and JE. It'll form name. Yeah, it does not like that name. You can't say that. So we have to do it in 2 steps, which I guess is good because you shouldn't be referring to like members of objects and other namespaces. That's crazy. But index base is safe to say, and so these can all go here. And now we're going to put this here. Yeah, so temporarily this is going to be executing in the namespace of the namespaces are all messed up here. So we're gonna, this is gonna, because we're executing it on this method, on this object, it's going to execute in the object's namespace, but we need to refer to the base namespace here. And so this needs to be called still on every frame to make this refactoring. So we're going to call this set REPL of base. And I think you can call it that way because you don't have the double underscore in there. But that needs to call red base. And so set val of red to val, command space. This will be running in the base namespace if I do this. So this is fine. So red is a local variable. Commands is, all these are local variables. And then this one is red as well. All right, I think that should work. This is messy. Don't try this at home, right? OLW of base is also the list of worlds. All of this stuff. Yeah, you know what? Set REPL base. I think it was a mistake to do this. I think hist lines is exactly what I want, and just leave all this namespace shenanigans out of it. Boom. There's no reason to do that. We'll just do it at that level. So the list and commands are all, everything here is local to the base namespace. So we'll do that there. And we'll just have two copies. All right, so then now these, then we can just call that set REPL in base and hist lines in base. And then hist lines, yeah, so once we get rid of this, then this will just collapse down to hist lines base. In fact, we'd put it up here before that, before it's defined. It's, do I want to explain this? Why not? So J has this thing. So if you say f equals like, my function is G, right? Okay, so G does not exist. But now if I say what is f, it's G. But if I say G is equal to, echo hello. So now if I run f, it's going to echo hello. But when I say what it is, it's going to be G. Now if I say H is equal to G, oh, okay. I feel like under some conditions you actually get like it would actually show this, and I'm not sure what those conditions are. Maybe it just never happens. I was under the impression that kind of the order in which you define things changed how that worked. Okay, well, there you go. So that I guess it's perfectly safe to do these in either order. Then the idea is that we would say hist lines REPL is equal to hist lines base. And so if I do that, then that will just be the, it will know to run it in the base namespace. But for right now, I have to do it like this because I'm calling another function, which is this set REPL also in base. I'm doing some kind of I'm doing a lot of intermediate steps. I don't like to break the code. I like to try and keep the side effects of my changes as small as possible. And I don't know if that's a good idea, but it's kind of like my paranoia, right? Like I want to change exactly one thing at a time. This is looking good. I like how it's kind of just appearing there. Feels a little more natural than with the cursor positions than what it did before. Just seeing that cursor move, even though it's only 2 frames of animation, it almost gives you the feel of it typing, which is kind of what I'm shooting for in these things. Okay, but still not there yet. But this is all working now, except for it's still setting it on every frame, and so now. And so until I fix that, I cannot remove this line right here. So the way to fix that is instead of doing it on every single frame, every time we redraw, we need to say not in here, but here, when we set this REPL, then REPL, the redraw of REPL, the redraw flag for REPL needs to be set to 1, which will redraw the line unconditionally. And we need, so what this needs to now happen only when I move to a different line of the commands. All right, so let's see what happens in, let's see. How are we doing on time? We have 20 minutes left. I think I can fix all this and get this working, and maybe next time we can work on something a little more interesting than refactoring. All right, so under UI, we have UI list, forward and backwards, just change the cursor. I think what I'm going to do, rather than try and like jam that into every single place where every key press that might affect the state of the REPL, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this update REPL. Update REPL. And then I'm going to say old REPL B is equal to the empty string. And then I'm going to say update REPL. And rather than calling set val, I'm going to say let's see, new REPL line, old REPL line is that. New REPL line is going to be this function, except we're going to do it like that, and we're going to do that. Okay. So update REPL is if, all right, so say new is equal to new REPL line. So I don't mind doing that on every frame because that's cheap. If new, if not new matches exactly old REPL line. So if they don't match, oh, we don't need a function for this. Well, yeah, we need a, C cleaner. This used to be such a nice program. Now it like spams you every day. Now it's it used to be called crap cleaner. You clean all the crap off your machine. Now it is the crap that spams you all the time. New old REPL. Then now this is where we're going to say set val of REPL is equal, and not REPL, but REPL of red. Set val of red to new. All right, here's some tacit programming for you. Whenever you have an if statement, you can almost always replace it with taking the condition, or if you're only calling a single function, you can replace the condition. You can put it in here. So now we have a flag. So we say, oops, yeah, old REPL line. We call this function only if that is true. Except in this case, I have two things to call. I could combine them, but one of them is an assignment. So there we go. So sorry, no tacit programming for you today. Yeah, REPL. All right. So now, if we make this run on every frame, then that frame will decide whether this works or not. So how do we make it run on every frame? Well, we need something that runs on every frame. So there is not a way to yet in the app framework to just register a function to run on every frame. I think that's something that should be there. So that's a small change that needs to be there. So to do add, I'll just put it at the bottom. Add ability to run a verb on every frame. Run arbitrary verbs on every frame. Right now, what runs on every frame is the update method for a widget. And so mje.ij, let's see if in REPL, what does the update function look like? Update. Right. So I'm going to copy this. It's only one line. I'm going to go ahead and copy it. Update REPL. And so now instead of just one underscore, we're doing two underscores. So that actually makes it the update method for this thing. So we're overriding it with, here it's just what it already was. And then this new REPL line base. And I think we can do that because it is not a, it doesn't have the double underscore. And this will be part of the REPL itself, old line. We'll call old line REPL. Just adding a member variable to it. So how we'll call old of REPL, and then old, because now we're running inside that namespace, so that's fine. New REPL line base, and then set val of red. So now we're in ourselves. We're still, it's ed in this context. And then R is 1, unconditionally. And here we take that away. R ed. And this is ed, locally. So this is all of this is allow changing the REPL's line as we navigate through the outline. The REPL, thanks Emacs for syntax highlighting everything as a string. All right, we got 10 minutes left. Let's see if this works. Value error, update REPL base. Yes, because we just got rid of that. So now we can do this, we can say this, and let's see if, I know this works. We'll try the experiment about. Yeah, I put I put the not, I composed not with match, and then I put not behind it over here. So yeah, the opposite of what I want. New REPL line base. R equals 1, update REPL. Oh, and then old is equal to new. But it's still not going to work because it didn't work on the first frame. Okay. This line's base. Let's see if we got anything left in REPL that is, that should no longer be necessary, but I'm not going to remove it quite yet. Hist lines. Okay, I'm expecting this to have the completely right behavior yet. Now, old REPL. All right. Update of REPL. New REPL line base. So by default, the cursor is on that line, so it should say that. Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. Oh, this is wrong. This is probably failing silently. This is R of ed. I think I just removed that, but that. So if the editor is this should be giving a type error, and somehow that type error is being trapped. So that's not good. But I'm still expecting this to work now. Okay. Update REPL without any type checking. 1. Update REPL. It gave me a 1 back. R equals 1. Yes. Okay. And then so is R of REPL true? Yes. And is B of REPL, B doesn't have, but B of the ed of REPL? Is that old REPL? Is that RL? Let's go somewhere where we have lines. If it's on that line, B of ed of REPL should be that line. It's not. And what's this function called? Up new REPL line. New REPL line should be viewmat I22. It is. Concurrent REPL, no, sorry, concurrent REPL, go into that namespace. And if we say update, that's what I expect. Update. All right, so first of all, B of ed is empty. And if I say update, B of ed is that. So that's working. It's just not being called every line. So concurrent base app, and we say step of app. Step of app is render at update, and update of app. Oh, okay. So it's yeah. Okay. So REPL is not an active widget, and so A of REPL is equal to 1. So now we do that, and feel like I'm doing something dumb here. All right. So again, B of ed of REPL should be, it's blank, which is what it's showing, which is, okay, so it's not a display bug. B of, and if I say update REPL, then we know that fixes it. So if I say update app, and B of ed of REPL, hold up now. So in the main loop, we're not calling update, we're calling step. Or we're not calling step, we're calling render. So it needs to be step. Okay. So again, this framework is new, and so I'm learning to do things. Okay, so that's the problem. So that just wasn't being called. Was doing something dumb. There we go. We have on our line as we, that's perfect. All right, so if I go to a screen like this one that has some lines, let's go to one that has, there we go. Boom, there's some text, there's some text, there's some text. This is working perfectly now. Let's just quickly double check that nothing is broken in REPL. All right. The thing I want to do is just as you enter text in the REPL, on every line in the except verb. Okay, so instead of hist lines, so hist lines is just going to be hist lines. It's going to be very much like this. I don't have a reload there. So I'm going to type in hello, ehist of world should be, so ihist of world should be hello, and then ehist of world should be what was the output from the system. Noun result was required. Ehist next world. Interesting. I'm actually expecting Yeah, I thought that there's a bug here. This is meant to include the line for the input history. Oh, wait, hang on a second. This is not actually the output of my function. This is not from trying to evaluate hello. This is actually, there's a problem. I didn't call it init world. So, I call it in MJE, but I don't call it here. So, here we're going to say init. So in the create function for our, so we're going to say init world. And that should do it. Hello. Okay, so now ehis world contains hello. I think that is a bug in worlds that is, so I'm expecting to see hello, hello. So I10, and now if I say ehis world, yes, that's what I expect. I expect the input and the output. So it's telling me that hello doesn't have an output. It should say value error hello, but that's probably just something wrong with the way I'm not trapping that particular error. But okay, let's put this. I just want to put a REPL on the screen. That's all. Just let's get this done. So we init the world, and then we, when we get the lines, that should be very much like. I'm just going to go ahead. This is going. Let's say we can say h minus 1 take ehist world. That's not going to completely work. That's just going to take the first ones, and so after we get to the end of the screen, it's not going to work. But to do make this work after we start scrolling. So that's just, we need to drop the, actually that might be this. I think it's hist L1 in world of world names in world. What does the world API give me? Oh, in world. Yeah, we say in world. Yeah, so we say hist L1 in world. World 1, and then names world 1. Hist L1. So that should be. Oh, but I did this before too. Hist L1 in world. And then so we take that and then we evaluate it to, okay. Yeah, so we do that, and it's exactly the same thing. We're gonna take this. Hang on. That is, we're going to take, all those lines, and then h minus 1. I think that's exactly it. So it's almost the same as in v put s. Rank error, v put s. V put s line. I see what's happening there. That's, you gotta have a space there because it's gonna think that's a word. You don't have to have a space here. This is an error trapping thing. This says this gives you the adverse, and then come on now. No, that didn't work. I'm rushing. I just want to get this done. I just want to finally have something. How do you assign the adverse? Yeah. Yeah, the adverse is the error trapping thing. So v put s. All right. So what do we get for hist lines here? Hist lines of REPL. Hist lines of REPL. 41. Hist is equal to hist lines. It's returning empty strings. Okay, so if length of ehist world on the very start, if not length of ehist world, return zero take of a. So just return an empty. So return an empty list of boxes, but return with a 0. Hello. Okay, that worked. But I don't want to break this anymore. Now if I say I10, I20, ehist world should not, yeah, that should be, is what I'm expecting. It's not displaying it now. So get, so hist lines of REPL is empty. If not length of ehist world, you got to do that. That's a Pythonism. I'm thinking Python style. This is not a Boolean. This is not if is not 0. This is 1 minus. So not length of hello is not. It's -4. And if you say if that's there we go. Hello. Okay. I10. There we go. One more time. JREPL I10. I10, even though I can't see it, it's working. I20, 20. All right, I have a REPL. It's working. It's not displaying the editor. All right, this should be able to go away now. Render. R equals red. Set val ed. Red is 1. And then R is 1. I don't know why that's not working, but R equals red equals 1. That should work. I don't know why the cursor's not showing up. I10, I20. All right, well, that's a mystery for tomorrow. We have a REPL. It's working. You just can't see your input. So thank you very much for watching. We will continue this tomorrow. I appreciate everybody who is checking this out on Twitch and on YouTube. So see you tomorrow.